So this is the build we're playing here. This is a, let's see what level are we? Level 78. Sick. We are a Primalist. So, like I said in chat, somebody wanted to see a Primalist Tornado Eye of the Storm character in Last Epoch. So we have Primalist here, just a couple points, just 20 points. And we're actually spec'd into Beastmaster, Druid, and Shaman, but like we ascended, or we picked our subclass as Shaman. I feel like Druid might have been a good choice as well. You lose out on this one particular node, a Rune of Awe. I think there's enough stuff over here as well that you can make use of it. And the big deal of like picking between these three classes for like whichever one you're actually going to be is whatever the passive, let me see if I can move my face real quick, is the passive bonuses that you get for being your class. So for Shaman, because I'm not using a totem, I get plus 10 attunement, and that's it. Kind of rough. But if I were a Druid instead, I would have 20% increased health and mana, which is pretty good, pretty relevant. And Beastmaster gives nothing for us. So I think you could actually take the build that I'm playing right now and play it as a Druid, but in any case. So we are playing a Eye of the Storm Tornado character. We have Tornado here, and like as I'm walking around, as I'm clearing maps, I hold down Q and W the entire time, and then I just like right click every once in a while. So like it's really easy on my wrist to play, which is nice coming from like Path of Exile, right? So Tornado, you can have more than one of these stacked on your head at a time. You can have like 3, maybe 4 of them, depending on how much duration and cooldown recovery speed you have. But you have a Tornado, so you're walking around like this. We also have Maelstrom as a secondary source of damage. So let the Tornado go away. So with Maelstrom as well, it's like, it's cold damage over time by default, but we converted it to Phys. So the Tornado deals Phys damage, and then Maelstrom also deals Phys damage. And we can have a whole bunch of these. You can see the stacks charging up here. But instead of manually casting this, because we don't really care about cast speed, we don't have cast speed on any of our gear, instead, we're using Warcry, which has a really nice satisfying sound to it, and it's kind of loud. But whenever I click Warcry, whenever it comes off cooldown, we get 4 stacks of Maelstrom. So if we just hold this down, we can be at like between 8 and 12 stacks right now, which is a ton of damage. So we hold this down, and it costs a bit of mana. And then we also hold down Tornado, and we charge up some Tornadoes on top of our head. And the Tornadoes are instant cast, so we don't need to stutter step to cast those. And then our mana is obliterated by how much mana we're spending per second. So to counteract that, for single target encounter, or for like rares that don't immediately die, we're just using Tempest Strike, and we're spec'd into like Tempest Strike, recover mana whenever you use it. So we use it, and pop, 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 pop. And every once in a while, you see my mana shoot back up because I'm using Tempest Strike. So that's that. For the skills, we have like damage. We have Tempest Strike itself to make sure the mana stuff works. We have Warcry, which is automatically casting our Maelstrom all the way on the left here. And then we also have Iterra's Blessing. This could probably be something else as Iterra's Blessing. I don't really know what else it would be. Maybe you could do like a totem setup or like an entangling root thing, because this does Phys damage over time too. But the heal is huge, first of all. Half of it happens immediately, and then the other half of it happens over the next 4 seconds from efflorescence, this node here that I'm hovering on. But then it also happens again at the end of that duration. So like this is a no mana, no cooldown heal that also heals you over 4 seconds, that also heals you at the end of those 4 seconds, and then it also gives you some damage. So like, it's pretty good. For the Maelstrom, we're spec'd into duration, damage, and haste. So we always have between 8 and 12 stacks, so we always have haste. And then some mana. Maelstrom costs less mana, so that our build is playable. We have Power of the Storm. This is kind of a one-pointer. I think it's worthwhile. We were talking about this with Gav for a bit. So this is like once a second, we have a lightning bolt that hits an enemy. And we need to be able to stun things. I guess we want to be able to stun things because we have a whole bunch of stun coming in from our mastery tree. And then we also have a whole bunch of stun coming in from Essence of Debris. You could spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could spend those points on something else. You could spend those on AoE, I suppose. The AoE, you can notice it, but it's not that much bigger. You could also try to like not convert this, maybe not make this Phys, and you could spec into like chill chance and freeze chance, and maybe like do like freeze multi as well. You could try that kind of thing. But because we have like between 8 and 12 stacks of Maelstrom, we have like 6 or 7 100% global stun chance. So we have global stun chance here, a bunch of damage from this one lightning bolt that hits one enemy. So for single target, we can stun it a good duration of the time, and stun's really good. So enough of that. We have everything that says damage here, along with some movement speed from Aspect of the Storm. Tempest Strike, we've clicked on everything that says cannot, so that we cannot proc these different portions of it. And then every time that we use it and doesn't proc something, we gain 20 mana. So this unspent power is the key to this. And the War Cry, we just have it proccing Maelstrom, and we also have its source of Frailty. Frailty stacks 3 times, but we're only applying it once every 4.5 seconds, but the duration's 10 seconds. So we could have another source of Frailty in the build if we wanted to stack up Frailty stacks faster, but it's pretty good, so good enough. Cleanse all negative ailments, huge heal. From our mastery, we're also like healing, 40% chance to be healed for like the cost of our mana cost, because our mana is pretty intensive. There's a ton of healing that goes on in the build. Is it a build? I don't know. I don't know if this build's good, but it's definitely great. It's super fun to play so far. It seems like the most important way that we can scale our damage is with the base of our staff. Honestly, even if this staff were white, it would still be best in slot, or virtually best in slot, because we want the adaptive spell damage as much as possible. There's a staff that gives up to 120 flat adaptive spell damage as an implicit, which would be better for damage than this, but that thing also increases your mana cost, and I'd rather not increase my mana cost. So this is just like kind of the middle ground that we're settling on for now. The rest of this is just like life, crit avoid, life, crit avoid, life, res, life, res, life, res, life, damage over time. Right, just normal looking stuff here. I think this is good. My tooltip DPS is inflated by the cast speed, because it thinks that cast speed is a function of how, or it thinks that your damage is a function of cast speed when it's not. So like it thinks that the cast speed from Okirian's Petals is good for you, but really I'm just using this for like a little bit of mana regen and a little bit of the 89 increased spell physical damage. And then there's nothing special going on here, just a bunch of crit avoid, life, res, random stuff. Nothing else that we found. So we're in hardcore level 78, and we are working on our first of the 3 level 90 monoliths. And if we can get it to Empowered Monoliths, I think I'll call it a success, but we'll see. We will see.